Hopefully. Hey, y'all, it's Danielle from Black Business Boom and Black Owned Nashville, and I'm excited to bring to you today our industry expert in all things insurance, Mr. Cory Beal Sr. How are you, Cory?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Happy holidays to you and yours, and most
Okay.
importantly, to the listening viewers. What's happening?
Absolutely. I'm not going to hold folks. I want to jump right in on this because I want to get to it because it's really an important conversation. As we go into the holidays, we're all looking forward to spending time with our friends and our family members. And we've seen so much happen over the last year and a half. We've seen a lot of GoFundMe's over this last year and a half because a lot of people do not have life insurance. And unfortunately, with the pandemic and everything else going on, there's just been a lot of death. And so I thought it was really important for us to have this conversation as we head into the holidays to start to think about how do we have a conversation with our family members about life insurance. And it's a very touchy subject. So I really hope you guys will tune in, and I hope this will trigger some conversations and help you guys to bring up the conversation at the dinner table or wherever you may be kicking it with your family. So Cory, I'm gonna let you jump on in. What's the first tip you can give us on being able to get comfortable with having a conversation about life insurance with our families?
Well, you just said something that was real key. First and foremost, everybody has had a crazy 2 years. Everyone has been impacted by the pandemic, by COVID, and most importantly, either you personally or someone died because of COVID.
Yeah.
Right? And many of us are still seeing people asking for assistance due to death. Right? And not just because many members couldn't afford life insurance. We speak about that, right? Mm-hmm. We saw the GoFundMe's, but the conversation that's been missed is that a lot of people lost their jobs during the pandemic as well.
That's a good one. A lot of people didn't, so they had insurance
through so they have insurance through their work.
Yeah,
right? That's almost like the number one, objection I hear is I got it through my job, right? Well, a lot of people became unemployed, all right? And not only that, a lot of people know that COBRA insurance is high when it comes to health insurance. And many people probably got a sticker shock when they did attempt to get life insurance, that they had to go through a physical, something you don't do at your job. And then they saw those pennies on the dollars they was paying for term insurance go to $70, $80, $90, $100 a month with no income coming in. Right? So that's important. That's why you want to talk about life insurance, because some of your family members, some of your best friends, some of your significant others may not still carry life insurance. Especially, and I'm going to always repeat this, maybe I should trademark this, people are dying in the season of a cough. A cough could take you out. Yeah. Touching the gas pump could take you out.
Yeah.
Going into Kroger, touching a shopping cart could take you out. Because everybody, at the end of the day, there's some folks that believe in hand sanitizers and wiping their hands for 20 seconds, and then some still think this is a hoax.
Yep.
So you have to protect yourself. And some folks just flat out negligent. Let's just call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
So we have to speak about the importance of life insurance, and why not do it during the time of Thanksgiving, where we're going to be praying for food that we know that contributes to heart, heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure to protect the nourishment of our bodies. How about we talk about a policy that protects us from the malnourishment of paying these bills?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Covering final expenses, not being a burden on your family during the holiday season. Because another conversation that we don't have, but it seems to be true, damn near somebody or everybody loses someone close to them during the holiday season.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, and again, I think we've talked about it before, like who wants the added stress? Like you already stressed about losing someone, but then not being able to pay for it takes that to a whole nother level,
Especially if you're the breadwinner of your family, because like you and I, you're really dealing with first generation millionaires. You're really dealing with first generation high six-figure earners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That take care of mother, father, sister, auntie, cousin.
And they coming to us when the check need to be cut.
And they come to us. They don't ask us how we doing, but they tell us to cut the check.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, and so I think there's been this stigma around life insurance and this fear of like bringing it up. I've experienced it myself, even in wanting to talk to my parents, about life insurance. And I think we have had so many examples of why it's important that these days all you got to do is spark a conversation about one of those things. We've lost so many Black people. Black men are dying early. Like there's so many examples where we can spin it in a positive, bring up a conversation. And I suggest doing it in a way that's positive, because again, nobody really in our families, they don't want to talk about death. Like everybody acts like they're going to live forever. And we know that's not the case. So I think we got to finesse our way into the conversation almost just so that we're not offending people in our family or they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about dying at Thanksgiving. But again, it's a great time to have that conversation and to get that quote and to get moving, even as we move into the new year. Like it's a good time to say like, hey, what I have found is that sometimes giving our own experience can really help. So even as I talk to folks about like, hey, maybe you should think about getting therapy, which is another taboo topic in our community, right? I'm like, well, I started therapy and it's been such a great experience. Maybe you should think about it because people don't want to hear you telling them something and you ain't done it yourself.
Right. If you provide them with a couple of examples of why therapy works, like, have you noticed my attitude is more calmer? Have you know that I'm not as big of an asshole as I once was, right? I don't have as much anxiety as I must. I don't have relationship issues anymore, right? It's all because I go to therapy. I'm able to talk to someone that offers a non-objective opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Or basically could correct me in such a manner that it propels me to grow. Yeah. Right? So that's one of the ways, but I'm cut from a different cloth. And I try not to be an a-hole about it, right? But the facts remain, the more we enable people from being uncomfortable to talk about life insurance or the things that they need, the more they're going to delay. True. And sometimes you have to draw the line in the sand. Sometimes you have to ignore their conversation. When they say, hey, I don't want to talk about life insurance, I want to talk about what's going on in your life. Well, the only time we're going to talk about what's going on in my life is when we talk about life insurance. You know what I'm saying? No. We have to get to that point that we're not finna ethically avoid this important conversation that should take no more than 7 to 10 minutes so we can sit down and enjoy our yams and our mac and cheese and our red velvet cakes, right?
And so, of course, cost is another thing. So talk to us about like having to have a conversation to tell people like it's not as expensive as what you think it is.
I'm going to say it. Listen, I know I'm an industry expert, but I got to say it in a manner that you should question your sanity if you're still questioning life insurance. Life insurance is cheap as hell. It's very inexpensive, especially if you have good or just decent health. We're talking about a policy that could cost you a can of Coke a day. A can of Coke a day. There should be no reason why you can't afford life insurance. We're talking just enough to bury you. Mm-hmm. Just enough to bury you. A can of Coke, one Snicker could cover life insurance, just enough to bury you. Now, I know our ego will want us to leave hundreds of thousands of dollars to our significant others, right? But let's face some reality. Many of us, unfortunately, wait to the last minute. Many of us live paycheck to paycheck. Some entrepreneurs live commission to commission. So the reality of the matter is the best thing you could do is say, hey, I'm at a point in my life with my income that I have, I can pay enough so I don't have to be a burden to someone. Let's start there, because you can always add more life insurance.
Yeah.
Right. Can I give me a $10,000 policy that's going to cover expenses so I don't leave a burden to my children, to my grandchildren, to my significant other? Can I give them a peace of mind so they could grieve in peace versus saying, damn, who gonna pay this? Damn, who gonna pay that? Can we start there first? And then once we get to that level, then we can sit down and talk about your desire of leaving some wealth behind for your significant others, for your family members. Then we could go there. Then the former banker in me could sit down and look at your bank statements and try to find dollars to where we could get you an additional policy that you may want the Danielles and the Corys of the world to use to start their businesses. Then we could go there. But can we get the fundamental of getting life insurance first, which is to provide a peace of mind and pay your final expenses? Now, another reason I want to talk about life insurance through the holidays, this is another taboo conversation, right? You know, you might not see your Auntie Mary this Thanksgiving. You may not see your Uncle Martin this Thanksgiving. How come? Because they got divorced. Right? So have you talked to Uncle Martin? Have you speak to Auntie Mary and said, hey, did you change your beneficiary? Because I know Aunt Mary, you would hate Uncle Martin, new wife, getting money that you should have got because, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying it backwards. Fact of the matter is, you want to check your beneficiaries.
Man,
because people divorced 20, 30, 40 years. They invested in this person, and they might not get a damn dime if the beneficiary isn't changed to their new spouse.
Now, that's right? A conversation that needs to be had at the table, I tell you that, because
I mean, you got to have it, because it's almost like, damn, Cory, who you showing up with at this Thanksgiving, right?
No, I mean, you know, people definitely break up, things happen, you know, and you need to make sure that your beneficiary is in order, period, just overall. And that's a great way to kind of broach the topic, you know, to be able to talk about who's your beneficiary, what's going to happen, you know. And again, it's something that people don't like to talk about. And I'm like, but we all going to die.
Yeah, man, we got to start talking about things that's going to enhance us as a family versus keeping us constantly in the same poverty Olympics.
Man,
we should not be in 2021. We should not be saying these are topics that we don't want to discuss. Then it's clear to me that you don't care about this family, because your actions, it shows more than words. Your actions matter.
Yeah.
And it takes no more. I tell people all the time, a good 10 to 15 minute conversation before you say prayers over the ham, over the turkey. That's all it would take.
Well, you know, the food don't ever be ready when we get there anyway. So we be sitting around not doing nothing, waiting on the food.
Right. Hey, you know what? We finna cut the spade game short a little bit.
Oh, God.
Right? Go get your cigars. Go get your weed. Go whatever advice you need to have. But talk about life insurance so you can make sure everybody in your family, they're squared away.
Yeah.
Life insurance is the perfect love letter. That's the perfect love letter.
I love it. I love it.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to have this conversation, or someone has to draw the line. Well, you know what? I'm not talking about what you want to talk about. I heard this story. I don't want to talk about what you've done 15, 10, 20, 30 years ago. We talk about, yes, I know I used to piss in the bed in 3rd grade. I know. Tell my new girlfriend this, right? But mama, do you have life insurance? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Well, mama, I'm going to need to get your information so I can cover you.
Yes. That's something that I'm curious about, because I know conversations have been had about that. And that's a big thing. Like for me, I'm like, I'll pay for it. It's not a big deal. I'll pay for your life insurance to make sure that I don't have to worry about it when you die, and scrambling. So I think that's another thing that we have to think about. Are we willing to just step up and handle the policy? And if we are, what do we need to do, Cory? Like if I was like, hey, I just want to get a policy for one of my parents, how do I go about doing that?
So I have two policies on my mother. One policy is to cover final expenses, and the other policy is designed because she wanted to leave her grandchildren some money. I said, Mama, I'm Gucci. I'm gonna be straight. You know what I'm saying? Leave the grandbaby some kids. Leave the grandbaby some money. Right? Leave the kiddo some money. So you just need their typical, it's the same application, height, weight, social security number, driver license, or my mother don't drive, state ID number, right? Find out what type of medications they're currently taking, and you're going to be the payer and the owner of the policy.
Okay. And then they get the call where they'll just ask them about like their health background and that type
health background. Or sometimes, they don't even have to get the call. We could just do everything via email.
Okay.
We could do a Zoom. I do Zoom meetings with some of my clients. We could take the application together over the telephone. Okay. And I can email you the link so your mother can sign, so your father can sign, so you can sign, and we could get you automatic approval. I got companies that will give you an instant decision once I hit submit.
Okay.
And some companies do what's called a phone interview. They just want to follow up to make sure everything you're saying is accurate over the application. Yeah. So the final approval. So they give you a peace of mind and knowing that, hey, you're not being scammed. Right? And you have the number to the life insurance carrier that you're going to be doing business with, and so it can be done. We're talking 10 minutes.
Okay.
So as a child, you have insurable interest in your family, in your mother. So yes, you could cover your mother. You could cover your father.
Okay.
If you're going to take the responsibility of being the payer, you don't even have to be the owner of the policy because your mother and your father, they could call on their own. They can make changes on their own. You're just responsible for paying it.
Okay.
Now they say, hey Danielle, I would like to add an additional $10,000. I found out that it costs $32. Would you be able to do that? Yeah. And then you say, yes, I could do it now. Hey, we just added on additional coverage.
Yeah.
But if you know they might just call to switch some stuff, then you remain the owner and you remain the payer and you keep the policy in your home. So when they make the phone call, the unfortunate phone call that all of us will receive, you got it.
Yeah.
Because you can also be the beneficiary as well.
Yep. I love it. And again, sometimes it's just scrambling to even find the policy. Like we know people have a policy. We just don't know, who it's with, how much it's for, and how to actually cash in when it's time to. So that's another important conversation that needs to happen. Is like
I got one more conversation we need to have as well.
Go ahead.
Even if you do have life insurance, when was the last time you spoke to your life insurance broker? And most importantly, when was the last time you did a policy review? Because our parents, our grandparents, unfortunately, and I have nothing against whole life insurance. What I have against whole life insurance is the agent not explaining to them that certain fees in that particular policy collapse the coverage. And you need to know about that. You need to make sure that you're still insured. Because what most people don't know about whole life insurance is that if your fees gets higher than the premium, then they'll start eating away at your cash. And once it eat away at the cash accumulations and you have no cash, now you have a lapsed policy. So grandma could be thinking she was paying on this life insurance.
Yeah.
I've been having it for 20 years, but not understanding that the fees get higher as you get older. And you could be eating away against your income that you was growing because you're still paying the same $30, $40. Not saying I might need to pay $50 this month, $60 this month, $70 this month to stay ahead of the inflation that takes place inside of a whole life insurance policy. And then you look up, you don't have whole life insurance. You don't have any insurance. and then you don't know the insurance broker because the insurance broker that left the industry 7 years ago, and then follow up with you, right? So you got to ask, when was the last time you had a policy review?
Okay.
When did someone look over your insurance policies?
This is great. You have given us some amazing gems today. So we know we need to be having this conversation. Period. Do you have insurance? That's like starting there. What's going on with your beneficiaries? Who those beneficiaries? When was the last time you had a policy review? Because things change.
How much is your coverage?
How much is your coverage?
Because you'd be surprised. I run into so many people that got 5,000, 3,000.
Yeah.
And be like, you wanted a funeral or did you want to get cremated?
Yeah. That's an important conversation as well.
Right, because if you wanted to get cremated, fine. Do you have your final wishes intact? Do you have that in your will? You know, let's make sure, because the son may want to honor you in a way I see fit of honoring you, but you may say, you know what? Hey, take me to the ashes with my ancestors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This has really been helpful for me, because as I go home, I'm about to have these conversations, you know, and like, again, it can be kind of a daunting thing to start to think about, you know, your people dying. Like, we don't want to think about our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles dying, or even ourselves, you know, but we know that it's happening, you know, and why not be prepared and at least have a course of action for what's going to happen when they do pass. And another thing is that sometimes, like you said, one person knows the final wishes. The other people don't know those final wishes. Now the person dies. We all arguing about what they said they wanted. So let's have that conversation while we all sitting here, you know, where we can get it all on the table so everybody knows what this person's final wishes are, versus us ending up in a situation where we're now fighting about it, you know, at some point. Who gonna get the china? Who gonna get the jewelry? You know, what do they want to be cremated? All of those things are conversations that we need to be having, and we need to not be scared to have them with our families. And again, I think that it's important that we come from a loving place with these conversations.
Absolutely.
And that, you know, it's not like, well, what's going to happen when you die? You know, like, you don't want to offend folks, and these are, you know, joyous times that we're getting to spend with our family to even have made it through this pandemic halfway. You know, so I think that we want to keep the conversation upbeat and positive, but we need to have the conversation and have it from a loving place.
And you know what? And if you're afraid of having a conversation, invite your insurance broker over to dinner. I've done several family reunions and spoke about the importance of life insurance at a family reunion. I've been invited to several dinners to speak about the importance of life insurance. You know, my mama ain't gonna go for that. My dad ain't gonna go for that. You know, but when, I hate to say it, when an opposing figure come over, when an authority come over, they tend to change their script. They tend to they tend to talk to me just a little bit more politely.
Yeah.
Than they're gonna talk to Danielle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So invite your insurance broker over so you can have that important conversation.
Well, that's what we got you for, Cory. So tell folks, how can they find you? Again, it's a great time to get a policy review, even as we go into the new year and just a new season, hopefully, you know, with getting beyond this pandemic. It's time for a policy review. It's time to get a quote on a new policy. It's time to have a strategy in place for how you're going to use insurance to grow your wealth. How can someone connect with you if they're ready to do one of those three things?
Well, one of the things they're going to do is that, and you've been getting on me about doing this, and I'm ready to do it because I have some things I need to tackle. I wanted to make sure I offer better insurance to the community. So I got with another 30 additional insurance carriers. So I could be able to offer whatever you need, like PD Pablo. I give to you whatever you have. You wanted it? I can go no further. Let me come back, right? So I want to make sure I offer better insurance care. So I will be more active in the group. You know, I will be doing more lives in the group. So you can email me at Cory Senior at CoryInsurance.com. Danielle, if you don't mind putting that in the chat, or it's Cory Senior at CoryInsurance.com. You can text me 615-818-5345. You can tag me in the group. I am the resident insurance broker in the group, the resident professional. Yes, I know with some other insurance agents in the group, but I'm your favorite insurance broker. That's the main reason why I am the industry expert. Been in the industry for a decade, so I have a wealth of experience and expertise that I can point you in the right direction.
Love it. And I also dropped Cory's phone numbers in the caption. Shoot him a text. Let's keep it simple.
Shoot me a text. Yes, I've helped several members in the community who thought they couldn't even afford life insurance, get affordable life insurance. I've helped people in our group who were diabetics get life insurance with living benefits. I've helped people in the group get their entire families with life insurance. I'm talking about a family of 5 under $130 a month.
I love it.
So that's how you can reach me. And like I said, I will be more active and vocal in the group going forward.
Love it. And next Monday, we'll be coming back to you together. Me and Cory will be back at 3 p.m. next Monday to talk about health insurance. We're in open enrollment for business owners specifically to talk about how you can get insured as a business owner. It's been a hot topic. It's in open enrollment right now, and a lot of people have questions about choosing the right policy as a small business owner or as someone who may have a Medicare or Medicaid plan. People have questions on using the healthcare marketplace. And so Cory will be answering those questions next week. So join us next week at 3 p.m. We'll be live on Black Business Boom and Black People Making Moves. Thank you so much, Cory. This was great. It really, honestly, this empowers me to go forward and have these conversations in a few days. So I'm really excited. And
I'm licensed in Illinois, so I can get your whole family squared away.
Yep, I love it. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
And we'll see you next Monday, Cory.
All right, thank you. Peace.